Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jerrel. I am a human being. The new Hyrule Warriors game, Age of Imprisonment, has just launched here in Australia, and I will be taking a look at the game. I want to discuss this from a technical and educational standpoint. I've not played this game yet, so I will be experiencing this game with you for the first time. If you are interested in game development, then I hope this video will be interesting to you, or if you are simply not a game developer, but you just enjoy games and you like hearing about the technical aspects and behind the scenes, then I hope that this video will be enjoyable for you. So I want to take a look at just a few of the basic technical approaches they take in order to get this to look interesting. We use something called subsurface scattering, and that creates a sense of light entering an object. The light bounces around the mass of the object and then comes out the other side. When it comes to foliage, this is kind of a secret ingredient when it comes to foliage, and we started doing this probably about 8 or 9 years ago, thereabouts. And it's how we create a sense of light shining through the blades of grass, and that's why that grass, that patch there, looks so interesting. How you create an interesting image it comes down to your composition, your color palette, and your tonal dynamic. What are you saying with the light part and the dark part of your composition, the lights and the darks in terms of the tonal values? And it's interesting to have bright highlights coming through the blades of grass like that. When it comes to art and game development, it is not realism that makes something interesting. It's not realism that makes it engaging or interesting to look at. It is the expressiveness. What are you saying and how are you saying it? And just having small details such as we use normal maps define bumpiness. In the past they were referred to as bump maps, but that's not exactly an accurate term. We use normal maps, and we use normal maps in combination with subsurface scattering in order to create that sense that there are edges, because it looks like the light is catching on the edges of the blades of grass there. It looks like sun is shining through it. So it's two very simple visual techniques that create such an interesting it's so interesting to see that in a scene where we have shadows that are making the grass look a bit duller, that are occluding the shadows. This is actually, we can discuss this topic another day, but having interactable grass is actually something that's a little bit more complicated than you think it is. But I think I noticed a little bit of funny artifacting here. And what I will do is I will shrink myself down so I'm not taking up the whole screen here. But I think I see a little bit of, I will have to take a look. See on this particular mesh for the grass, see that the bottom of this stalk here kind of shifts out of the way. So I'm interested in seeing what implementation they have employed for this grass bending solution, because this standard grass, you know, the blades of grass stay rooted to the ground, but if you have a look at the grass, the flowers there, the bottoms actually move, and they really shouldn't. And again, it's not about realism, it's about what are you saying, and what they are saying there is a little bit weird, so that's a little bit incoherent in terms of what it's saying. Whereas if you look at the standard grass, it doesn't necessarily do that. So that's something funny. It's things that I notice. As a gamer, they don't necessarily bother me, because you have to understand, look, this is a video game, it's not real life. And I think it's funny. You're always going to find funny little things like that in games, and I try to pay attention to things like that in my own games to make sure that I try to make my games as good as they can be. I'm going to go ahead and shrink myself down, and we'll go ahead and just continue on, and we will play the game and enjoy it. So I'm quite a fan of the Zelda games. I really enjoy them. I do enjoy the Hyrule Warriors games, but I in general only play them with a friend. My brain is telling me to climb this. You know, I think if any of us have played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you see that, I think there's an item up there. That's what I want, you see. But we don't have that here. We are using a very simple imaging processing technique called bloom, and bloom creates haloing over the intersection between light and dark pixels. It gives us this soft blurring effect. It's quite pleasant to look, and it breaks a visual line. It allows the image to look interesting. So that's really neat. I do like the use of that, having that we don't seem to be using like a light ray caster. Some games will use an imaging technique, light rays, and it will cast simulated light beams. They're not real, but they look quite interesting. I see that we have not made use of that here, so I suppose the developers do not expect that you will be looking up that much, but I always like to look up. It's good to stay optimistic. Always look up. You can see we are making use of subsurface scattering on the branches on the tree. You can see that they are brightened just there because the sunlight is appearing behind them. So that's always, I like seeing that in games where necessarily they probably wouldn't, because there is a performance cost to that. And again, it's not about money, it's the budget for the hardware itself. Your hardware has a rendering budget. It can only render so many things on screen at one time before the performance suffers. The bloom in this game is doing a lot of heavy lifting, that post-processing effect, the screen effect. It's adding the soft haziness. Now, I do not believe, see these light shafts here? I don't believe that they are using full real-time volumetric lighting. That may be a mesh to implement that visual element. But as we get close, it disappears. You see the light rays coming through there. Now, this is why I don't think it's full volumetric lighting, you see, because the light rays are being cast in a direction that does not line up with the sunlight. The sun, see the position of the sun? It should not be casting a light ray like that. And again, it's not about realism, it's about expressiveness. So it looks really nice, even though it's not realistic, even though that's not how the light ray should be cast. So that is why I believe that they're either using a particle system or a mesh in order to create that visual, because it doesn't make sense for that to be a visual element created by real-time volumetric lighting, because it doesn't line up with the position of the sunlight. I need to get a closer look. See, you see the light shaft just there, those light shafts? I believe that's a mesh. I believe it's a mesh. We don't see anything from the inside, which means that the mesh does not have polygons on the inside, and the shader is not set to render double-sided. It's a single-sided additive shader. And the reason why you do that is because it has a very low performance cost. That rendering technique is primitive, which means it's easy on the processor, so it doesn't have a huge impact on the frame rate. They could have used volumetric lighting to brute force trying to make the scene look interesting. It to me tells me these developers care more about making something look interesting and making sure the game runs well. Generally, inexperienced developers will rely on brute force imaging techniques such as volumetric lighting because they lack the experience and understanding to make an image look interesting through their own abilities. Where are we? We have Super Saiyan King Hyrule, I think, is who this is. And I think the volume, I don't want the volume to be too loud, so I'm just going to dial that down. And I may just skip through the story sections just so we have some interesting things to look at. So I'll skip through this in today's show. Now, I've noticed something here. This character who has this guy, I don't know who this character is. I don't know if he's got who is he? Is this someone we know? He's got a mustache and a goatee and long hair, and I finally feel like there's a Zelda character that I can cosplay as with minimal effort. So whoever this guy is, I suppose, should the need arise, I will be cosplaying as that character. It would be quite easy for me. I wouldn't have to put in that much effort. So I believe this may be our first battle, and I'm just realizing how short Raoru's legs are. They actually look hilariously short. So, okay, there seems to be some situation going on here. This was your father's lightsaber. Was it an elegant weapon? Was it for blasters and what is it? Lightsabers in Hoki religion are no match for a blaster? Is that the quote? I'm bad at Star Wars quotes. Okay, this was your father's lightsaber. I know it was my father's lightsaber. He was the greatest pilot in all of the galaxy. Yes, of course I will. Let me hit some guys. Let me inflict some bodily harm upon my foes. And let's see. Okay, this is my very first moment to see the battle system. These little patches of fogs, these are not volumetric. These are particle systems, the little patches of fog here. They are particle systems, and they are billboards, so they turn to face the camera. And let's see here. Let me just get these guys. I do like the tutorial on the screen that explains it. I do like the use of these particle systems here because they allow the environment to be broken up visually in an interesting way. In a 3D space, it's a very effective way to break up your background, midground, and foreground in an interesting way. It adds tonal dynamic to the scene. It generally has quite a low rendering cost when it comes to modern platforms. I believe that... Oh, I'm being injured. I believe those particles are stepping through frames, so they are frame by frame animation, so that's good to see. I'm not seeing real-time volumetric lighting, which to me tells me that that would have been too expensive in this situation. It looks like they really... I think they learned a lot from the previous Hyrule Warriors games, that the poor performance, because the visual elements in the game were too expensive in terms of the rendering cost, and it really negatively impacted the experience for the end users. So in this game, they prioritized good performance, and I see that. I can appreciate it. I can see that they're using, you know, simple fundamental visual techniques in order to achieve interesting visuals. So these are developers that have been around and making 3D games for a while, I believe. Allow me to perform my combos. Ooh, there was a lighting shift. Oh, I like that. The sky was purple and quite sinister, and then it shifted to blue. This is my cosplay character. My volume's turned down. I don't get to hear it, but this man will be very easy for me. I'll just have to get some of those earring things and a tunic, and I don't have a tunic, but I suppose I can acquire one. All hail the rock. Hail the rock. The rock is good. Okay. Holy light, smile upon our people forevermore. Ritual. I think this game is quite pleasant to look at, and you can see the use of that particle fog back there. Again, that's not volumetric, real-time, you know, processed by an advanced lighting system. That's particle fog. They place it behind the grass so it breaks up that tonal monotony of the grass and that stone wall, stone cliff face back there. That fog adds dynamic to it. That helps the scene look interesting. They're really relying on these particles in the environment, these magical dust type things. I mean, if there were a ghost hunter playing this game, they would constantly be shouting, "Ghost! There's a ghost! There's a ghost there! There's spirits here! There be spirits in the land." Okay. So, can I play as Captain Goatee now, or not yet? No? I guess I have to wait. So I want to point something out here. The cape of Zelda has physics simulation, but you can see there are situations where the cape can actually go through different parts of her body, such as her arms. Now, it doesn't always happen, which to me tells me that her arms do likely have physics colliders in them, so that the cape should not be able to go through her arm. But you can see there are situations here where sometimes they're actually going underneath her arm. So it is interacting with the collider, but I believe it looks like there's a collider for physics simulations only on her forearm and not on her bicep, because that's actually going underneath the collider, and now the collider is holding the cape underneath her arm. We have to specify manually colliders which can interact with certain pieces of geometry that are designated to have physics simulation, because that is actually quite expensive in terms of processing. So we can't just say, let's let that cape interact with absolutely everything in the environment. That would have huge performance implications. It would make things quite rough. Now I can see there's a manual culling process. You can see that door on the left turns invisible when it's not on screen. So there is some form of manual culling, even though basically every game engine uses it implements something called frustum culling, and when something is not on screen, then it is not being rendered. So I'm not sure why they have to manually cull that out, and then you can see that it fades in to being visible again once it is on camera. So I would like to understand their thought process on that. I don't understand why they have done that. Welcome back, your majesties. It's me, Purple Swoop. Purple Swoop, I shop at Hot Topic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that character. He must be a new guy. I don't know him. This game's quite pleasant to look at. I really like the color palettes they've chosen. There is a softness to the tonal dynamic. It's the tonal dynamic is more flat than Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. In those games, you see more contrast between the dark and the light tonal values in the scenes. This is more subdued and more flat. Things are pinched closer to the middle of a histogram. A histogram is something photographers use that tells the photographer how the balance of dark, light, and mid-tone pixels in the image. And in this one, you would probably see it would be like everything would be in the middle, I think, the histogram for this. But in a time, a terrible evil arose. Okay, this is. Don't I collect those? Those are something that collectibles in the previous Zelda games. Do I collect those? Here we go. The title screen here. The Imprisoning War. The Age of Imprisonment. Okay. Okay. What is this? What is this character? Linalia, Zelda's. Who is this? This is a big gal. The look on her face is making me laugh. This big gal. Look, I don't take my lunch break at 4:20, but this gal is stoned, right? I can't be the only one who thinks that. This lady is so chilled out right now. The look on her face. Is this a scene from Beauty and the Beast where the Beast gives Belle the library and then... oh, this is still Zelda. Can I just say, those earrings are massive. They look heavy. I really hope that those are cotton wool or something, because they look heavy. And I don't know. I don't understand modern fashion with earrings, but I think people like stretching their ears out. I'm quite old-fashioned, so I suppose that's normal these days. But that... Oh, she's got the same huge earrings that Zelda has. Okay, that's the in thing now. I suppose we'll be seeing these on Etsy pretty soon, won't we? Ah, see, this is the Zelda that's always on her phone. She's addicted to using her phone. She can't stop taking pictures. She's always tweeting things. And now she doesn't have reception because she's in the past. How are you going to tweet when you don't have reception, Zelda? No. You cannot let the past use your future technology. It'll mess them up. You're gonna mess up the timeline. Like if I go to... If I were to travel to the past, I certainly would not be showing them, an Android phone. I certainly wouldn't show them AI or social media, because they wouldn't... Well, you don't want to ruin the world any sooner than it's already being ruined. I'll just say that. It's Big Bertha. She is stoned out of her mind. Look at her. Okay. When do I get to hurt somebody? Let me hurt somebody. Come on. Okay, now this scene, this environment is a bit more interesting. This environment has more tonal contrast. You see the darker areas are nice and punchy and contrasty in a way that the outdoor areas were not. So it's interesting to see that sort of contrast and dynamic in the indoor areas. It means to tell us that the outdoor areas are quite bright, and outdoors it creates a sense of light bouncing off the ground and making things brighter, which is something that you can either rely on brute force on your lighting system to do, or you can do it in a manual way to where you simply adjust the settings of the lighting in that environment in order to convey that idea. It's interesting to see the different ways they've handled that here. There's a great deal of story elements here. What is up with Ganon's toe rings? What's up with people and feet? Why are people so obsessed with feet? And I did not want to see Ganon's feet, and I didn't want to see his weird toe rings either, but I guess I'm feet conservative, but I didn't want to see Ganon's feet, but we see him now. There's many a great story elements here. I think people that want to have a chill experience and just see some story, I think that they're really going to enjoy this. I would like to get to hurting some folks, though. If I can unlock some characters and hurt some folks, I would like that. Come on, give me somebody to hurt. Okay, Typhan's my guy. That's basically the easiest character for me to cosplay as, so that's my dude. Okay, after performing regular attacks with Y, press X to combo into a strong attack. I shall do so henceforth post-haste. Okay, I am guarding. I go YYX. Ooh, balls. Nice. I like balls. These are powerful balls. If he steps on them balls, he gonna take damage, I reckon. Come on, step on these glowing landmines here. YYYX. Okay, get the timing right. YX. There we go. You can't just mash it. You do have to get the timing right on this bad boy here. Okay, unique skills. Hold R. Okay. Sure, I can do that. I can do. Bow of Light. Bow of Light! I'm gonna eat that pie. Your pie is mine. I'm gonna Y his pie. Ow. Okay. Oh, they're recharging. I see now. Come on, show me your pie. I'm gonna eat that pie. Dodge. I'm eating his pie. You see, you gotta eat his pie. Once you eat their pie, they'll be upset. Here we go. Piercing light! I've pierced his pie, is what I've done. And I'm going to smash his weak point after I've consumed his pie. Use the boost to get through. Okay, his pie is visible. There we go. I see here. Oh, whoa, dangerous attack. When a powerful enemy is about to unleash a dangerous attack, it will glow with a red aura. Use unique skills or special actions corresponding to the type of attack. Okay. Use unique skills. Okay, so when they're doing that, I want to open my R and use Piercing Light. Okay, I've broken his pie. My sword has good range because it extends outward. My lightsaber. You know that it's not really a lightsaber, it's more like a light baton. If you have a look at it, the lightsaber is not saber-shaped. So I'm just being a little fastidious here. This is new. By tapping the B button, the character does a little hop back, which is, whoa! There we go. I'm learning. Now I'm gonna eat that pie. Yum, yum, yum. Eat it up. Your pie is mine. Now he's gonna recover. Okay. Whoop! I'm gonna smash a weak point. I quite like the mechanics of opening your special skills. You can sort of cancel out what other actions that you're already doing, so it makes combat feel quite responsive, and I do really like that, especially because you need that as an action in order to interrupt an enemy's. It needs to be reactable, and so they've implemented it in a way that feels very responsive. I do really like that. Let's just take a look at the draw distance for shadows. If we have a look at that mid area there, we will see as I approach, there are clouds actually right there in the way, obscuring what I want to point out, but we should see a shadow suddenly appear in that mid-ground. See how it fades in and out as I approach? So it looks like that is the maximum range at which shadows are rendered. You can see that as I get farther from that geometry there, and then the shadows fade in and out. This is something that Legends ZA actually does well. And I've seen people in the comments, and these are people that obviously have no idea what they're talking about and don't know anything about game design, but I explained in detail very clearly how Legends ZA does that part of environmental shadows extremely well, and people said, oh, whoop-de-doo, we've been doing that since the PlayStation 1. Okay, if you think so. You're free to live in a delusional fantasy if you think that Legends ZA looks like a PlayStation 1 or 2 game, and I'm not here to defend any particular game or to attack anyone, but I am here to educate, and you have to point out when people have no idea what they're talking about and try to come off as some sort of authority on the issue here. But see, this is a gorgeous game, and even they did not implement shadows as well as the environmental shadows in Legends ZA, because in Legends ZA, they would have replaced that real-time shadow with something that I believe is being updated at a significantly lower rate, and it is being rendered at a much lower resolution, so it's fine for performance. It doesn't have a huge performance cost, but if this were Legends ZA, those shadows, they would have replaced that with a lower resolution one, and they would still be visible. But in this game, you can see the shadows disappearing, but the blob cast shadows are obscuring that. So yeah, it's interesting to see that there are things that Legends ZA actually does do well, and that is one thing that it actually does better than other games. So yeah, credit where credit is due. I want to be other characters though. I want to be someone cool. I found a Korok seed. This is poop. I found poop. I've picked up poop. I feel like I'm playing Digimon Story Time Stranger and I'm picking up brown texture. That is Korok poop. Yay.
Ah, it's Purple Swoop. Let's go to Hot Topic after this battle.
Okay, Purple Swoop. I actually really like the responsiveness of the mechanisms of this battle system. I really like the responsiveness of the special skills by holding the R button and accessing that. I really like that you can cancel out your attacking actions with a dodging maneuver, which is important in this kind of game. This is a very fast-paced action game, and I really like those aspects of it. So quite fluid. I'm just gazing out into the distance here, and it looks like that environment there, those trees, those are just many a great billboard. Those are not real-time 3D modeled trees. They're billboards, which again is just a flat, it's 2 polygons forming a rectangle, and I believe there's just many a great quantity of billboards, and you can see sort of as we get into that further distance there, those are just layers and layers of flat polygons, again, which is a very primitive way of implementing those visuals, but that allows the environment to not be expensive to render, and it's a smart solution. Now let's look down into the valley. I'm leaning back, right? Like that's going to help. I feel like a dad playing Ridge Racer for the first time on the PlayStation. Okay. Yeah, oh, yeah, I'd like to see this. I'd like to put this on my 4K monitor and take a look, but those are just billboards. Again, they're very cheap to render. If you play Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask, you'll see that technique all over the place. And it's so fun that after all these years, we're still using that way to optimize it. Now, they must have been really concerned about the frame rate of this game, and it's because we need to prioritize the action that's on screen. All these particle effects, the flashy stuff, that's actually quite expensive to render still for some reason, so we need to keep the budget free for that. Something that these developers also took into account is that when you play this game in 2-player mode, it has to render everything twice. So, and it's actually more than twice, because we render things multiple times when we need to implement different visual effects. And so you're already, you know, this scene isn't being just rendered once, being rendered multiple times, and then we're doing things like post-image processing. Depth of field is very expensive. That's where we have the foreground is in focus, the background is blurred out, which I am seeing in a number of situations. And, oh, he's in the air. I gotta do this thing here.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat Raoru's pie. I'm eating your pie. Eat that.
One more pie piece left. Come on. Oh, no, I put his pie away. Dang. Oh, he's doing something. Yeah. Show me that pie. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh, I didn't record that part, but they showed the clapping of hands, but it's not the actual character models that are doing it, because that would take significantly more work to have the two characters in the environment actually clap hands. They just have two separate models of hands that are most likely not connected to anything at all. And those two hands are clapping, and they're just part of a visual element, an attack startup animation. So it's not the actual characters in the environment clapping hands. Very, very clever way, very efficient solution, quite a graceful solution to implement that. I like that. Very cool solution. Who is this happy little friend? That guy's so smiley and happy. Oh, okay, this is the guy. Painted on abs. That has the kind of vibes that like a Batman costume has sculpted abs on it. Those are painted on abs. Agriston. This guy is stoned as well, isn't he? Boy, Hyrule used to be a really chill place, if you know what I'm saying. There's something I've noticed here, and that when you're engaged in combat thusly, it is not just the background that goes out of focus with depth of field, it is actually the foreground. Elements in the close foreground are actually blurred out as well. And that looks interesting. It's just cool to look at. It's very nice visual element, and that's how photography works as well. In photography, we have a limited plane which we can keep in focus, and in this is expressive, and it helps you keep an eye on what is important. That's wherever your character is, the actions that your character is performing, that is what you should be paying attention to. So the things, when the foreground gets blurred out, it's that ties into that kind of visual expression. I do really like that a lot. I'm gonna do my moves. I actually really like this. This is very chill. I look forward to having a friend over and playing this game. This is very cool. This has been interesting. I really like what I see so far. I've enjoyed playing the game up to this point. I have to go to work on my own games now, so I'm going to have to leave the game here for a little bit. I have an Irish music session tonight at the pub, so I'll have to leave the game here, get my work done. I'll share a little bit of an update on the game that I'm working on right now, which is called Goo Buddies. It's a monster raising and battling game. It's the same update. If you saw my previous show on Digimon's story Time Stranger, it'll be the same. But if you haven't seen that, I'll share my update with you now. Alright, here's my development workspace for Goo Buddies. There's going to be a lot of placeholder graphics and some debugging graphics while I'm developing, so just ignore a lot of the graphics here. If we take a look at our stats here, something I've added is a secondary menu to the stats screen here that shows you the current defense level for your elements here. And you can also see your Goo Buddy's EX form. A Goo Buddy can only have one EX form And there's a couple different ones. You have a cursed mask, a blessed mask, and then there is a Goliath form or an overflow form. There's a different ones. So you can obtain one. You can have your Goo Buddy transform during battle. Let's go ahead and look at the food menu here. What I'll do is I will hatch an egg, and you can see the eggs that I have in my inventory. When they reach 100%, they will be ready to hatch. Let's go ahead and hatch this water egg here. And we have a new Goo Buddy that is born. Now I have some debugging functionality here that's sped up. If you quickly want to evolve your Goo Buddies, you can shake them. Right now I've boosted up the effect so it happens very quickly, but in general, shaking sort of reduces your friendship level, but shaking your Goo Buddy, you can force it to evolve faster. And you're going to have to take the trade-off of your Goo Buddy being angry with you, but you can fix that later by working on your friendship levels. So the weight of your Goo Buddy also changes its physical size. I've put some debug values in here for apple jelly. So right now, apple jelly makes your Goo Buddies real heavy. So I'll just update my party here and you'll see that the weight will show that the Goo Buddy is real big. So that's the maximum size that this one can reach if you feed him. Take a look at the weight here. He is now 3,005 weight units. Now let's take a look at our elemental showers here in terms of training. You can use different crafting materials to upgrade the enhancement and have higher effects. You have elemental showers here. Those temporarily boost your defenses. So if you go into a battle knowing that the enemies are certain elements, you can use elemental showers to gain some resistance to your enemies, as your enemies are going to be very strong. Take a look at requests here, and you can see that people are asking for certain people in the game, NPCs, you know, they ask for certain slime. Your Goo Buddies excrete slime in the way that cows give out milk. So you harvest slime from your Goo Buddies. I have an animation that I have completed. I just need to implement the animation of milking the Goo Buddy, and then you collect slime in a bottle. So you'll want to harvest slime. Every once in a while, your Goo Buddy will be ready to give out some slime here. And you can see my values in my inventory have increased as I've harvested some slime. Once you have enough, you can fulfill those requests and you can earn money and items. Let's have a look at bounties here. These are your missions. You can see that the environment, so for example, snowy plains, that increases stats by 20% if you are the matching element, or your stats go down by 20% for certain elements. So it's important that you have to keep adjusting your battle party. So it behooves you to have many different Goo Buddies so you can take on different missions, and you can see the different rewards there are very valuable. And you can get magic jewels that let you affect the element of your Goo Buddy to be magic, or you can teach them new battle actions. Let's go ahead and have a look at this battle here. You can see my party, my battle party from the ranch has populated this side of the field. You can see I have my big buddy over there who I shook him till he evolved, and then I overfed him. You can see the enemies are Goo Baddies, and they have frightening eyes. They're a little bit more unsettling, so I've made it so that the Goo Baddies have eyes that are a little upsetting to look at. I'm going to change it so the Goo Baddies don't blink. The blinking in this game is designed to make them look very cute, and I don't want the bad guys to look as cute as the good ones. So for Goo Baddies, I'll disable the blinking. Let's go ahead and take a look at a weekly battle. In a weekly battle, the enemy is going to be real big. Let's take a look at this one. There is a Colossus that we can fight. Look at the combat power, 256 CPs for combat power. You can use that number to gauge how much stronger your enemy is compared to you. My party currently, you know, their average is about 15 CP. So this is a big enemy. There will be unique species for Colossus, but you can fight Goliath, and Goliath are the standard species, but they'll have something extra that'll make them more powerful and bigger. So, all right, and I hope you've enjoyed taking a look. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate that. I look forward to just hanging out with you guys in the comment section. I have to go back to work. I have a lot of work to do on this game on Goo Buddies. So, okay, take care of yourselves. Be well.